What up YouTube? Topaz Ace back for another requested review, and this one is to that John J. Howling. And you know, my brother, you definitely laid your cards out on the table, pretty much showing the people exactly what you're going to deliver to them in the first few songs here, man. Especially with that 5-star 2.0 featuring King Crooked on there, man. You're pretty much giving your mission statement on that one, man. And you know, that's a smart thing because for the most part, you have to always deliver your best possible song and the song that you want to be known and the style that you want to be known for within the first song and such, dude. Simply put, people just don't have enough time. People really don't care enough to listen to underground music like that. So you have to hit them with what you got immediately, and then if they decide to go on, they continue on. So it's a very smart thing that you're doing there. And as we break down this song, we realize a lot about you, man. You're one of those guys who really love the whole golden age, the golden era of hip-hop and such, because that's how you ultimately designed your whole rhyme scheme. You are definitely putting a lot of emphasis on your lyricism and the content of your particular songs, man. And you know, it's all cool in the game for that, man. Like, you are definitely choosing your particular path, but yet that path that you were chasing down, man, honestly, you have a lot longer road to go. And we gonna get more into that a little later. And then the fact that you're featuring King Crooked, because that is an interesting feature here, because King Crooked ain't really popping like that out there in the game right now. It more comes off as a personalized choice to get him, man, because you relate to that individual and you may look up to this individual based on how you were rhyming and such, dude. But outside of that song, man, I honestly feel as though you were at your best at the final two songs of this entire project, man. Starting because of that production that's enlisted on there, because you got soulful production on that Up in Flames where it's a chopped up sample of that, man. And that's definitely a sound that you should exploit, because not only do you sound well by doing it, man, but it fits into the whole format of what you're trying to do, because that was heavy in the 90s. I mean, there's a good selection of songs on here where you just got that aggressive hip-hop type sound to it, man, but yet ultimately I feel as though this is what you're best at, and I can actually help you find other producers who actually chop up things a little differently and such. Like, I definitely wanted to play you a beat like right now from a producer named Lil Quincy. It's always good to have a good repertoire of producers that doing things a bit different, but again, you don't want to solely focus on that style of production, man. You always want to experiment and evolve and change things up, but yet that's one type of sound that you should continue to work with and continue to find ways to make it better as you go. And what's interesting about these last two songs is ultimately the content of your lyrics, man, because what Up in Flames is ultimately about is a relationship that is broken down and has gone up in flames, per se, while Beautiful Soul is in fact like the polar opposite, where you're ultimately looking at an individual woman and saying that this is your soulmate, this is the person that's there for you no matter what, this is the right person that you are along for the ride with. Now I feel as though content wise it works because you're not trying to rely heavily on your lyricism, man, because you definitely have a lot of work to go there. See, you gotta understand the tools that you have as a lyricist, man. You gotta work on your metaphors, you gotta work on your wordplay, you gotta work on your vocab, and the more and more you work and get better at these individual things, the better and more witty your punchlines will become in the long run. And a lot of people ask me these things. What exactly are metaphors? Metaphors are using something that has nothing to do with what you're talking about, but yet you use that to explain what you're talking about. Like, let me give you an example. So I write an article every day at downloadpads.com, and sometimes I do metaphor articles, man. And one of my favorites was how Batman relates to the underground rapper, in which if you're just looking at it on that level, no, Batman has nothing to do with the underground rapper. But how I break it down, it makes sense. Like, okay, Batman built a buzz in his city by going out every night and putting in the work. He's out there promoting his brand of justice by beating up villains every night and such, man. And that's what an underground rapper needs to do. You need to be out there promoting every day, man, and build up your buzz to the point that you can be as known in the city as Batman is known in Gotham. Now, wordplay is exactly what it sounds like. You're just playing with your words and being witty with it and such, man. And And a bare basic example that I always give people and such, man, comes from an underground rapper a while ago. What he said is, if you try me, I'll be slapping on your bitch ass. And later on the night, be slapping on your bitch ass. Notice he used the exact same phrase twice, but each time it meant something different. He's just ultimately playing with his words there. And vocab is rather obvious as well, man, because your words that you use, your actual vocabulary, that's honestly the bullets that you put in your gun to shoot. The more expansive your vocabulary becomes, man, the better you can ultimately become as well. But yet lyricism is something that takes years and years to develop, and as you can probably tell, because I can tell just based off of listening to you, man, that you've been working at this for a little minute now. You gotta focus on building your knowledge and constantly putting it into effect, man, and eventually it'll all just click for you. But the next thing you have to work on, man, is mastering your flow, because there are points where you are on point with yours, man. You are definitely rapping on beat, but yet there comes moments when you have such a complex thought that you're trying to give the people, that you're trying to explain it every step of the way and put in every single word that you possibly can to get that point across, when that's not necessary. You have to understand that people are not stupid here. And quite honestly, the most important thing for you to do is to say it right, because people will eventually understand it if they want to understand it. Never underestimate people's ability to research and actually study up on what you're trying to say if they actually care about it, but yet they will only care about it if you rap it the right way, precisely on beat. So therefore, when you write your rhymes, man, you got to start taking out words that are not necessarily needed there, man, that's throwing you off. You want to have the bare minimum of words to get your point across, and from there your flow will be right there on point. And then you got to work on your delivery, and this definitely goes along with the flow, because delivery and flow goes hand in hand, because your delivery is how you're expressing it and everything, man. How are you exactly saying it to get people interested, because right now you're on a core basic level of delivery. You're just trying to get it off the page and put it on the wax and trying to get it to sound right, but yet honestly you're not expanding with it, man. You're not slowing certain words that you didn't necessarily have to slow. You're just doing that because you want to. You don't have your own particular brand of swag to go along with it. Ultimately, I come across a lot of MCs that rhyme the same exact way that you are rhyming on this project, man, and you gotta diversify that up. You gotta become one of one, and that ultimately comes with your swagger and everything once you already memorize your lyrics, man, and then you apply anything to rap it differently. But overall, a decent project, which seems to be a stepping stone for your Still Howling album that you got coming out in January the 6th, I believe. So this mixtape honestly comes off as a bit of promotion leading up to that, and I like that. But yet ultimately you have a long ways to go, man, skill-wise, to get to where you want to be, because if you're looking up at dudes like King Crooked and everything, man, then you have to be comparable to such. Don't compare your music to the terrible MCs that's out there, because that's a completely different path that has nothing to do with you. Definitely keep pushing yourself forward, man, and I believe there's some success here to be found, but yet you gotta get these core fundamentals right. But everybody go ahead and peep this joint on out, man. A link to it is in the description below. I hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow me at Twitter up there, and you can go to downloadpads.com, that's down there, to read today's article.